Yes, thank you. So, hello everyone. Welcome aboard. Welcome to San Antonio. My name is Mary Jane. I'm going to be your boat captain for the next 30 minutes or so. I do have a few safety rules that we have to go over. Rule number one, there is no standing on the boat. A lot of the bridges are very low, so I want you to hit your head on anything. Also because it does get very windy down here, and boats and winds do not get along very well. Also because we have some very, very new boat captains on the river today. Very, very new, as in it's their first day today. You know how that's gonna go. Rule number two, if y'all can please keep all arms, feet, and other limbs inside of the boat. We're gonna get very close to the bridges, to the walls, and to the other boats. And rule number three, there is no smoking or vaping or any other type of tobacco use on the boat. So with that being said, let's begin. This glass building here that is surrounding us, this is our famous River Center Mall. Hence the name River Center. The river does flow through the center of it. The only thing is you can't see it from the inside. You can only see it from the outside. And over here to our left, and underneath the bridge, is the river flows out of underneath the mall. Now I know it doesn't look as cool as it sounds. It's a chill anyway, so therefore. But I don't know if any of y'all noticed this island here with the plants on it. Well, every single year during Christmas time, when the city puts up the Christmas lights, the mall puts up a really big tree here right in the middle. Unfortunately, a lot of people actually don't even like the island for that very reason. Mainly teenagers.
Oh, there's my dog.
They're always trying to get a good picture for social media, so they climb over the railing, stand on top of the pillars, or jump on the island. Of course, 98%
Hi,
of the
duck.
time they will fall in.
Hello.
Last time we joined the river was back in January, and our friend that works with the city here told us, one little foot bridge we went under, all the way up into the island, 110 falls, just in that little area. That's not counting the cameras, the GoPros, the iPads, and all the other good stuff. Of course, in the man-made section alone, they found 37 scooters. Now, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but they're not allowed down here, and of course, the majority of them are found by the bridges. And of course, inside the mall, we have over 100 retailers, not counting dining. We even have an IMAX theater, we have an AMC theater, we have an aquatic life aquarium, we have a Dave & Buster's, and we have a Legoland, all right inside the mall. And of course, every single day at the exact same time, ever since 1988, our IMAX shows a movie, even when no one's there. Can anyone guess what movie? I'll give you 2 honks if you guess it right.
What?
None.
What movie plays there at the exact same time ever since 1988? Let me give you all a hint. It has to do with San Antonio.
The Alamo?
Yeah, the Battle of the Alamo, Price of Freedom. Y'all get 2 honks. Now over here to my right, you're going to see this statue of a man holding a baby. Right over here. This is St. Anthony de Padua. He is a patron saint of lost items and small children. And of course, he is who San Antonio and the river are named after. But of course, if you didn't know, San Antonio was named after
San
the
Antonio
river
de Padua.
because it was here first, of course. And he was a gift to us for the 1968 World's Fair by Portugal because St. Anthony lived back in the 12th century and he was from Lisbon, Portugal. And fun fact for y'all, his real name wasn't even Anthony. And his real name was Fernando. And fun fact number 2 for y'all, if you want a boyfriend, all you gotta do is pray to him upside down. He'll bring you a boyfriend guarantee. But if you want to sell your house, all you gotta do is bury him in your front yard, feet towards your house, and he sells it just like that. It really does work. Now apparently he does a whole bunch of other stuff, but of course it was only to the caught my attention. So if y'all want to look it up, see what else he does. And over here to our right and on the street level, you're going to see a church peeking through. Right up there. This is St. Joseph's German Catholic Church. Now it's German because it was built back in the 1800s when the majority of San Antonio spoke German. So of course they wanted their own place of worship in their native language, so they built theirs right down here. I don't know if any of y'all been on the street level where the mall is. If you have, you may have noticed that there's a church awkwardly in the middle of it. That's the one. Of course, every single year, the mall doubles and triples their money to buy out the church for little air worship, but they say no because they still do practices day in English and in German. They even have an all-male choir that performs there once a month at the end of the month in German. And coming up to our right and on the street level, you're going to see a squiggly orange sculpture peeking through. Right up there. This is known as the Torch of Friendship. And it was a gift to us in 2002 by Mexico, saying even though we're not a part of Mexico anymore, we still stand on good terms. But of course, it's actually supposed to be two people hugging. Now, I do have some questions again for everyone aboard. Is it anyone's birthday today? No, tomorrow? Yesterday? No. Do we have anyone celebrating an anniversary? An engagement? A divorce?
17? Yeah. On the 17th
On the 17th?
of January.
I don't know why I thought we were in December. I was like, that's a whole month away. And what is yours? Wait, who? You?
No, my brother.
Your brother?
Yeah.
What is brother's name?
Inario.
Inario?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to look at me. Can you raise your hand so everybody can see you? Or I can make you stand. It's up to you.
Shy.
What's the name again? The name again?
Inario.
Nherlyn is celebrating his birthday with us today, everybody. So, on the count of 3, y'all yell happy birthday, followed by a round of applause. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday! And of course, we have anyone who is a military veteran, active military, first responder, teacher, or an essential worker aboard. Right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have like 15. Can we give everybody a round of applause? Thank y'all for your service. Now, if we look all the way up and to the left, you're gonna see Palacio del Rio by Hilton. This building here was built in record time at 202 working days with weekends and holidays off. So of course it was built so fast you can see the bottom 4 floors look normal while the rest of the building doesn't. Well, that's because the 4 floors were built here on site, while all the other rooms were built here in San Antonio, 5 miles away to be exact, on a different site. When they were done building each room, they furnished them. So each room was fully furnished all the way from the bathtubs to the beds to the lamps and the Bible on the nightstand. They brought them back over here, lifted them up and stacked them one on top of the other, just like Legos. That's why each room is in and out like that. And of course, it was built for the 1968 World Fair. And over here to our left, this is La Villita. La Villita's little village in English, and that's exactly what it is, as it was San Antonio's first neighborhood here. And it was also the site of Santa Anna's cannon line in the Battle of the Alamo. Now it's shops, dining, and bars. Of course, we all want to come back and check them out. Not a lot of people know the place because it's so far away from all the other bars and restaurants. But this little area here, this is our Arneson River Theater. To the left is the 800-person seating, and to the right is the stage, of course. Behind the stage, there are 5 bronze bells. These bells represent the 5 missions we have here in San Antonio. The middle one, representing the Alamo, our only mission downtown. The stage might also look familiar to some of y'all. If you've ever seen the 2000 movie, Miss Congeniality, starring Sandra Bullock, this is where she did her famous World Peace speech. And they even started renting out the place for weddings. So if you're going to get married later, if you know someone who is, or if you want to do it all over again, you can. You
Yeah, I see.
Right? And coming up to our right where the really big statue is, that statue there represents the first cattle drive we had here in Texas. Of course, the building behind it is the Briscoe Western Art Museum. The Briscoe opened up in 2013. Inside, they have Pancho Villa's last known saddle and Santa Anna's ceremonial sword. Of course, before that, in 1968, this was the Harrisburg Circus Museum. But in 1930, this was the first public library here downtown. It was said to be the tallest building because of all the stories they had. Thank you, sir, the only one who got it. And this bridge that we're about to go under looks very low. But I can assure you it is not that low. This is called a Rosetta's Bridge. It's completely bolted together. There is no welding involved. And it was a gift to us all the way from Berlin, Connecticut, of course. Now there are 10 of these bridges in the whole United States, so we have 5 here in San Antonio. And over here to our right, this little island here, this is known as Marriage Island. It's called Marriage Island because the roots of this cypress tree shapes the island like a heart. Also because over 300 weddings happen here every single year and over 400 proposals a year. It is said to bring good luck dating back all the way to the Mexican Revolution. And of course, right next to it here, this is known as a tunnel of love. So if y'all are here with your loved ones, go ahead and give them a kiss, give them a hug, a high five, a pat on the back, a fist bump. You can slap them, punch them, kick them out of love for good luck. And over here to our right, this is the Westin Hotel. It opened up in November of 1999. Now when the Spurs play a home game, their opponent team stays at the top 2 floors, and their main lobby is furnished from a 17th century European castle. Everything has been refurbished and is still hanging up to this very day. But if you look all the way up and to the left, you're gonna see the Tower Life building. It opened up in 1929 and it was originally called the Smith & Young building. So Smith & Young were very superstitious, so if you look all the way up there again, you're going to see some gargoyles sticking out. Those are to protect the building. But if you look right above the first floor here, you're going to see some scary, ugly looking faces sticking out. These are called grotesque faces, and they were used to ward off bad business and evil spirits. But of course, they don't work. As the Smith & Young duo lost the building because of the Great Depression, what eventually cost them $3 billion in 1 year to build, they were forced to sell it in auction, and it was sold for $300,000, less than 10% of what they bought it for. Now it does still operate to this day as law firms and insurance companies, so if you ever have to get a lawyer, this is where you want to go. And of course, the building is now worth in today's money $10 million. And right in front of us here, this big giant red building, this is our Bexar County Courthouse. That is BEXAR. It is the largest, oldest, and continuously operating courthouse in Texas. But of course, if y'all look behind us here at the Tower Life building, you can get a really good view of it and how it kind of looks like a ship. Well, that's because the architects were going for a Titanic theme. For obvious reasons, gave up on the Titanic and went with a regular old ship. And we are now entering into the 14 to 25 feet deep of water. Now he's pressure washing. Back in 1922, there was a huge flood in the downtown area. Above street level, it was under 9 feet of water. So from 1922 to 1924, the Army Corps of Engineers and the city of San Antonio worked on a flood control plan. So they had put 2 floodgates on the right side of the river. If you look behind us, way back there, where you can kind of see the drop. That's a 15-foot drop, so on the tour, we don't go that way. We even put these drain holes here on the wall so the water from the street level can also come down here. So when it starts to rain really, really hard, the floodgates will close. When they're all closed, send a signal back to that one over there to lower just a few inches so the water from here rushes down over there and it eventually ends up in the Gulf of Mexico. But of course, back then, nobody believed that the flood control was going to work, so a lot of people left the downtown area, leaving it very lonely until the 40s. But it has worked and still does to this day, as we have the same one, just better technology. And coming up to our right, this is the Jury Plaza Hotel. The Jury opened up in 2007, but of course before 2007, this area that we are in and that little area we just came out from, there was no sidewalks. So they built and donated the sidewalk to the city, and it cost them $1 million to do so. Of course, before that in the 30s, it was the Alamo National Bank building. They still have the same sign up in the front to this day. They even have the deposit box still there. And right in front of us here, you're going to see this little light post. Right next to it, you're going to see this really big tree. This is the oldest tree here on the Riverwalk and over 350 years old, older than San Antonio itself. Now this tree is actually named after Ben Malam after he was shot by a sniper that was in this tree. This sniper had shot Ben Bala right in the head after he had gathered 300 volunteers to bring back with him. Of course, this sniper was actually trying to shoot anyone trying to cross the river, anyone, maybe any Texan. Now here's another one of our floodgates that we're about to go through. This is called a pocket floodgate. It opens and closes just like a car garage. But over here to our right and at the corner here, this is Hugman's Oasis. It's a tiki bar. They're very new here to the Riverwalk. If y'all want to come back and check them out around 2:30ish when they open up. They do have indoor seating as well as outdoor. They also recently started serving food. And coming up to our right, the little old building. This is the Esquire Tavern. The Esquire is the oldest bar on the river with the longest wooden bar top in Texas at 110 feet long. So of course the oldest bar because it was open during the Prohibition, and the only reason why it was able to stay open was because it was a barber shop. So of course back then you would come in and ask for a special haircut and then come out without a haircut. But just a little stumble to your steps. And right in front of us here is another one of our locations, the last one that we're going to pass by today. Our Aztec on the river because we are located right behind the Aztec Theater. If you look all the way up to the 3rd floor there, you're going to see the Aztec head sticking out. Right up there. And of course, the brick building behind it is the Aztec Theater. Now they just recently reopened up for concerts and comedy clubs, so if you ever happen to come here to see someone you like, you want to go underneath this first fire escape after, because underneath that are 2 doors, and that's where the famous people exit and enter from. And right in front of us here, this is our famous Robert Hugman Bridge. But it's not famously known as that, it's famously known as our Selena Bridge, as it was featured in the 1997 movie Selena starring Jennifer Lopez. Of course, in the movie, this very spot, right here, is where Jennifer Lopez sat on the bridge and did her famous kissing scene. But of course, in real life, that is where the real Selena Quintanilla, Chris Perez, got engaged. So now fans, they become and stop foot traffic and also get engaged on the bridge almost every single day. And over here to our left, this is the Omni La Mansion. The Omni is where Jennifer Lopez stayed when she was filming the Selena movie. She stayed at the very top floor in the presidential suite, and of course, ever since then, the prices have gone up. The Omni opened up 15 years after the Battle of the Alamo at St. Mary's School for Boys, until 1966 when 2 alumni came back. They bought the school and turned the building into a luxury hotel just in time for the 1968 World's Fair. Now for this part here, you can only see this as soon as we get out of underneath the bridge. So I'm going to stop the boat just so everybody can get a chance to see it better. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look to the left, and you're going to look straight up like if you're looking at the sky. So to the left and straight up, you're going to see an optical illusion of a freestanding wall. So all the way up and to the left. All the way up and to the left. All the way up and to the left.
Oh my God.
That was the Nix Hospital. It opened up in 1930 and it was the first fully serviced and fully air-conditioned hospital in the nation. Unfortunately, it did close down in 2019, but it was quickly bought by the Marriott. So now in just a few years, our hospital is going to be a luxury hotel. But of course, it's not far from the usual things we have around here. You know, we're always turning hospitals into hotels and morgues into restaurants just like the one right underneath it. And it might also be Marriott's most haunted location because in the 30s, the majority of the hospital was an insane asylum.
Seafood sticks. Stay in there, Nherlyn.
And right in front of us here is the building with all the windows. And this is the Hyatt Regency Hotel. The Hyatt stands at 16 stories high, which is any higher, and it will cast a shadow over the Alamo that is right in front of it, which is forbidden. as the sun must rise and set on the Alamo every single day in honor of those who fought. You can even go through the hike even if you're not a guest there. If you ever do, you're gonna see some cool water features, some beautiful plants, some souvenir shops, some restaurants. Keep going all the way through and you end up right in front of the Alamo. Of course, right next to it here, this is the Frosty Dog. They have some really good drinks that you take to go, and they play live music every single day. And over here to our right, this building here used to be the Casino Club building. Of course, it had nothing to do with casinos, but it brought two all-male society groups together, and this is where they would have their meetings. Now the bottom two floors is Sawgrass Steakhouse, but the rest of the building are the cheapest apartments on the Riverwalk. Now the only thing about these apartments is there's about a 16-year wait. When I say cheapest, I really do mean cheapest, as in everything else on the river with just a view of it starts at $3,000 and go up from there. This starts at $200 and does not go above $1,300. And we are now in Restaurant Grove. It's where the majority of our restaurants are. So if y'all are looking for something to eat after, this is where you want to come. But just a heads up, everyone, the birds and the ducks do like to fly very, very close to the boats, but it's okay, they shouldn't do anything too bad. But over here to our left, this is Cafe Olé, and they're famously known for their 60-ounce margaritas. They have 7 shots in them as well.
Mags, abot na ka sa Mags.
And over here to our right, this is Casa Rio. It opened up in 1946 as the first restaurant on the Riverwalk. So of course, back then when you would come down here for dinner, you would go on a gondola ride for about 30 minutes or so. Come back, your table and your food will be ready. And while the city thought this was such a great idea, they actually bought it off of them, and here we are today. Now we still do offer the dinner on the boats, but you do have to run it out 2 to 3 weeks in advance. Or if you don't want to drive around eating, you can drive around drinking. You know, who doesn't love doing that? We have a cocktail charter. It's a little bit cheaper than the dinner one. Or we have a beverage bar. It's a lot cheaper than the dinner one. Or you can even rent out the boat just like it is right now. Now when you rent out the boat, you know it is your boat. So for example, say you see one of your friends walking on the side of the river, you'd be like, oh, Mary Jane, pull over, I want to go pick those people up. And then I have to because it's your boat and you have all this room, you know. So you can easily go online, order something to go from one of the restaurants down here, tell me to go over there and you go pick it up. It's a lot cheaper. But I did not tell y'all that, okay, because I would get in trouble. So we just exit the all natural part of the river. We are back in the man-made section. This section here has a completely concrete bottom. It is 4 feet to 5 feet deep, and it was built for the 1968 World's Fair. Of course, back in 1968, San Antonio was hosting its 250th birthday as a city, and what was supposed to be this small town's fair ended up becoming this huge World's Fair. This World's Fair was like a party, and this party was such a hit, it lasted 6 months long. So fun fact for y'all, on an average year we have just a little bit over 250 people fall in the river every single year. But of course with a 6-month-long party, you know, that was the year the most people fell in the river. And well, San Antonio, since it was our birthday, we had something as our centerpiece of it all. If you look to our right on the street level and in between these trees here, you're gonna see the Tower of America, built for the 1968 World's Fair. It has a 750-foot observation deck, 952 steps, and every year on the anniversary of 9/11, firefighters come fully equipped and race to the top. Of course, these firefighters are doing this before they dedicated it to 9/11. And back in 1981, the fastest time going up was at 5 minutes and 18 seconds, and still to this day, it has not been broken. Now, if you want to go there after, you can. All you gotta do is follow the river to the right side. the very area that we're gonna go. It's gonna cost you about $16.50 a person to go up there, but don't worry, the ride down is free. And they do have restaurants and bars up there as well. On your way over there, you're gonna run into Ruth Chris Steakhouse. It's a lot cheaper than paying your way to go up there. Than paying a lot for very little food. But again, I did not tell you that. Also, their happy hours from 4 to 6. And of course, right across the street from the tower is La Villita. Right next to it is a 1906 Fairmont Hotel that was moved there. They lifted up the 1600-ton building, placed it on $36.